Hello everyone! Welcome to the Natural History Museum of Chungnam National University. Our museum, which opened on September 13, 2004, is now closed due to the COVID-19, but we're making attractive staircase illustrations and exhibition paper for those of you who will come in the near future. Now, shall we go inside the museum? First, let's go see the rocks, fossils, and minerals in the first and special exhibition halls. If you look at the colorful geological map of Korea, you can see that about 3 billion years have created these various rocks. Let's take a look at how the rocks on the Korean peninsula were created. First of all, in the pre-Cambrian age, there are many metamorphic rocks. Metamorphism is a new action that changes from a solid state without melting into a liquid under high temperature and pressure. These stones became soil over time and became a part of Mount Jiri in Korea. During the Paleozoic era, parts of the Korean peninsula have been submerged underwater. The Gangwon province proved this fact by producing lots of limestones, which forms in clear, warm, shallow marine water. During the Mesozoic era, magma cooled below the ground, creating intrusive rocks throughout the Korean peninsula. Because of this reason, we can find many rock mountains around us, like Mount Sorak. On the other hand, in the Cenozoic era, volcanic activity occurred, and the result of this are Dokdo, Ulleungdo, Mount Baekdu, and Jeju Island. Do you know how fossils are made? In order for fossils to be made, organisms must be buried in sediments and the soft parts must melt away. Also, between the empty spaces, mud and other substances must be filled and hardened. After that, the stratum rises with great force, and over time, the fossils appear on the surface. Due to these properties, fossils tend to be distributed in places where sedimentary rocks are located. There are two kinds of fossils, index fossils and facies fossils. Index fossils tell us the time of the formation of the strata, which includes trilobites, ammonites, and nummulites. Facies fossil explains the environment when the strata were created. For example, by observing the coral fossil, we can know that the area was a warm shallow sea. Also, the fern fossils show that the area was a swamp which was warm and damp. Our museum displays many minerals that make up rocks. Not only are there minerals on display in the middle of the hall, a special exhibition hall is set up to give you a closer look at the attractive minerals. There are rock-forming minerals, beautiful gem minerals, economical useful ore minerals, and bright fluorescent minerals. If you press the button here, you can see the stones glow, right? What is happening? Fluorescent is a phenomenon which explains how ultraviolet rays and X-rays make stone glow. So the lamp over here is a UV lamp which relays ultraviolet rays. The atoms in the rock absorbs it and discharge it by long-wave visible ray. That's why it looks like it is shining. You can see various forms of birds at our museum. This is because birds eat different food and live in various habitats. A common buzzard, kestrel, and the eagle are carnivore, so they have sharp claws and beaks to tear the meat. Sparrows, green finch, and the parrotbill mostly eat grain or small insects, so the beak evolved into a pincer shape that is easy to pick up something. A long bill has a large foot to live in the mud, and a long beak to eat crabs that live under the mud. Ducks have webbed feet to swim in the water, and a round beak to eat water grasses or insects. The middle part of the second exhibition hall displays animals that live in Gapcheon, Yudungcheon, and Daejeoncheon, which are part of the Gimgang River flowing through Daejeon. Did you know that there are so many kinds of animals living around the river? If you live in Daejeon or have a chance to visit, I recommend you to observe what animals live along the pretty river. Studies show that insects first appeared on Earth 400 million years ago. Over time, insects evolved into various forms with about 860,000 species now known. The rhinoceros beetles with different numbers of horns and the weevil with different front leg lengths demonstrates the insect diversity. Insects use various survival strategies to survive from many natural enemies. Such survival strategies include protective, alert, and gastrointestinal colors. Especially in the case of camouflage, a deciduous mantis uses it to hunt, while a walking stick and the Phyllium giganteum uses it for only survival. So a variety of insects like mosquitoes, fleas, and locusts can harm us directly or indirectly, but there are also useful insects that have given us honey like bees and allowed us to make silk from silkworm threads. This shows that insects have historically been one of the most influential creatures in our lives since our ancestors. Fish can be largely divided into seawater fish and freshwater fish. First, let's look at the seawater fish. The ocean is wide and deep, so it has a more diverse environment than the freshwater. That's why sea fish has more shapes and colors than freshwater fish. Examples include the mighty white shark, a skate ray, a pufferfish that can inflate its body, and a long, jawless hagfish. Although rivers and lakes are very small compared to the sea, freshwater fish also has many forms such as the seawater fish. This is because freshwater also have various environments like upstreams, midstreams, downstreams, pond, lake, and so on. Just by looking at the gobby minnow, a long eel, mandarin fish, and the Chinese minnow, you can see that each has a very different look. The Seaweed Exhibition Hall displays red, green, and brown algae produced by the symbiosis of bacteria and cyanophyceae. Red algae, which lives in the deepest water, have red color, which is a complementary color to blue. And it has the characteristic that its spores have mobility. Brown algae, which includes kelp and seaweed, lives in the shallow water than red algae. Finally, green algae lives in the shallowest depth among the algae. It has a close relationship with terrestrial plants, and species such as green laver and heckham belong here. This is the exhibition hall of vascular plant. What is the difference between a vascular plant and just a plant? It is to give the meaning that water pipe and body pipe have developed clearly. Water pipe is a tube that draws water from the ground up to the plant. The body pipe is a tube that delivers food made through photosynthesis to the entire plant. These clearly developed two tubes specifies the name vascular plant. Let's take a look at the specialty plant section. Special plants are species of plants that are geographically isolated and have weak propagation or mobility. Therefore, these are a unique collection of plants that have adapted to the natural environment of the Korean peninsula. Lastly, let's look at the microbes. Microorganisms are literally very small creatures. These include most fungi. As people know, the mushrooms here are the result of fungi. In the old days, plants were classified as higher class and lower class plants depending on whether they used photosynthesis or not. In those days, fungi belonged to the lower class plants. But we don't classify them as plants because now we know that the way they get nutrients are different from plants. That's all we have for a Natural History Museum of Chungnam National University. Nature is still a mystery, but it does give us a lot of gifts. We hope you become interested in nature and the diversity of nature while watching this video. Thank you.